Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you listen to the Podium Podcast. So welcome back to another episode where today is of course, the 2025 USA Grand Prix preview. It will be a very chaotic week filled with action, filled with a lot of on-track action because it is, of course, a sprint weekend as F1 heads to the Circuit of the Americas located in Austin, Texas for what will be, hopefully, a great weekend. But it does shape up to be a good weekend. You look at the championship, only a handful of points now between Oscar and Lando, only 60 or so points between Oscar and Max. So with the championship in full swing, with only 6 races left, this one having also 8 additional points up for grab with the sprint race on a Saturday, it does shape up to be a good weekend. There's a lot to get through this weekend because, of course, we've had a week off from the Singapore Grand Prix. Last time out, George Russell took the win around Marina Bay in dominant fashion. But I do think with this weekend, it is a different kettle of fish because it's a very different track to Singapore. Circuit of the Americas, COTA, as it is known for short, is a track which has got, yes, long straights, but you also need high amounts of downforce, especially in Sector 1. You've got almost like the S's in the first sector. You've also got the twisty and technical third sector. So with a balance of top speed and downforce, it is kind of a ball lake for the teams to get the setup right. And also with only one practice session available on a Friday, it will be a little bit chaotic and potentially could throw some curveballs into the mix. But yeah, it's the first sprint weekend from Belgium. So we've had about 6 or 7 races without a sprint weekend. Regardless, for me, sprint weekends are maybe not the best addition to Formula 1, but when it comes down to a championship like this, yes, I'm definitely asking for sprint races to make the championship ever more exciting. Obviously, you say it's only 8 points, but 8 points can be the make or break between the top runners, and with only one practice session, a lot can change. You go into FP1 and normally you've got 3 sessions to get adjusted to the car, get adjusted to what the track feels like, especially for the rookies. But with only one session that they'll have under their belt, straight into sprint qualifying for what will be a very quick sprint on Saturday, it does make a lot of difference. If you look at, I suppose, the upgrades that the cars are bringing, coming to the end of the season with only, 6 races left to go, not many teams bar Haas are bringing an upgrade. Haas are bringing an upgrade to their rear suspension, which should be make the car a little bit more, I suppose, friendly in the high-speed corners. But those up front, no changes whatsoever. Of course, you've got the setup changes to deal with the different tracks, but in terms of major changes, major upgrades, major hauls that they brought to this double header, because we do have the USA and then we've got Mexico next week. No one has bought anything to change. I think for I suppose Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull, the only major upgrade that one of those teams have bought is the Red Bull team in Monza. But other than that, it seems that is equal footing. Does this mean that McLaren's lead at the top of the champion, or I suppose advantage over the others, which they had at the start of this year, will change? Yes, I think it will be a different matter. We saw last time out in Austin how McLaren, even though they were the best team, didn't have the race pace to match Ferrari out front, and I think it will be a same theme this weekend. Qualifying will be important, of course. It seems that over the last couple of years, qualifying has been the make or break, because as soon as you get down the first lap, overtaking seems doable. Not as bad as Singapore, but still fairly challenging for the drivers. But also, clean air is a huge factor. It's been a factor for the whole of this season, and it will still be a factor this weekend. So qualifying will be important. Same with the sprint race, qualifying will be important. I think this weekend will be more who can get the quickest up to speed in terms of those out front. You've also got the likes of Mercedes which will join in the mix this weekend. I think that they will do well. They've done well in Singapore. They did well in Baku. So I think that they've had almost two different types of tracks. So Austin should be a pretty straightforward matter for them. With Mercedes getting into the mix, it does make the championship even more exciting. I'm just excited talking about it because I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Because with more teams in the mix, you have to make sure that your chances and your opportunities that you do get matter. If it's taking a pole and just dominating even just a sprint race, that's still 8 points in the bag which you can get over your teammate. And I suppose it's those who can get quickest up to speed and also who can make the least amount of errors. They seem very basic, but with only one practice session, it's going to be who could be more clinical at the end of the day. You look at the McLaren duo, yes, they have come back from winning the Constructors in Singapore, but in the team rivalry, they've won the Constructors, so really their main priority is to secure the championship for the drivers. But for who is the question. PAPAYA rules, will they go out the window? 100% yes. I do not see any one of them abiding to PAPAYA rules. It's come to the point in the season now where no driver has too much to lose. In that sense, and if you already won the Constructors, what is stopping you from giving it some more to your teammate? You're fighting them at the end of the day, not another driver, which also makes it even more interesting because then Verstappen comes in into the fold in order to kind of spice up things, because we've seen how dominant he's been from the second half of the season. He scored the most this half of the season. He's got a P2 in Zandvoort, he won in Monza, he won in Baku, he came P2 in Singapore. He has not fallen off the podium so far, which is an incredible feat, and I think he just really, really suits the car. I think that the upgrade that they bought in Monza, we've seen can suit them in any track, and I think it'll be the same, I suppose, feat this weekend. We saw last year how even in the sprint qualifying, Max took pole, and he was not even that far off pole position for the main Grand Prix, and that was in that Red Bull last year. With this Red Bull, I think that pole will probably definitely be his, and I think that they will be very, 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 I suppose, they'll look favourable for both the sprint and the main race. With the championship also, Piastri on 336 points leads Lando by 314, with Max down on 273 points. There is a 60-point gap between Verstappen and Piastri, whilst Norris is only 20 odd points behind his teammate, which means that this weekend with 33 points up for grabs for any one of those drivers is that could be a huge swing in the championship, and it will make everything more interesting. In terms of, I suppose, stuff that's happened in the news over the last couple of weeks, the only thing that's kind of sparked debate is the Red Bull seat. Who will be getting that VCARB seat in 2026? Will Tsunoda make the step down again in terms of from Red Bull to VCARB? Will Lawson get that step up? Will Hadjar get that step up? And if so, who fills the spot and who is kicked out? You've had the likes of Lindblad, who's been, I suppose, his name's been thrown in there quite a lot. And I think that, especially for someone for Tsunoda, with even Hadjar getting a podium in a VCARB, it's going to be a very, very, very tense couple of races from here now to the end of the season. Let's go for my predictions now. And for sprint qualifying, the top three, and I'm going to say the same for the sprint race, I think Verstappen, Norris and Piastri will dominate the qualifying and the race for the sprint. No change in that. For the main Grand Prix, however, I'm going to go for both Mercedes to finish 4th and 5th, Russell being 4th, and the top three to be, as you expect, Piastri, Verstappen and Lando to take pole position. In the race, do I think that he will capitalize on that? No, I think Max Verstappen will win the United States of America Grand Prix, with Norris, Russell, Leclerc and Hamilton finishing up the top 5. In the middle of the race, just based on vibes, I need to spread my eggs in all baskets because it's been a poor run of form in my predictions. I'm going to go for Piastri, Russell, Hamilton, Antonelli and Lawson. in my top 5. Biggest good surprise, and I'm going to have to go for Max. I think he will dominate. I think he'll be really, really strong this weekend, and I think that he will be, with a dominant display, definitely in the mix for the championship. Biggest flop, and I'm going to go for McLaren. Coming off a Constructors' Championship, the gloves are off now in terms of both drivers giving it all for the championship, and I will be very excited to see who will come out on top in that fight. Crazy prediction. I don't say the McLarens make contact. I'm going to say that they will, with their gloves being off, make contact, and they will get in the way of each other somehow. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap up a short but sweet United States of America Grand Prix preview. Make sure to like and subscribe and have a simply lovely day. Goodbye.